Hey, what's up guys? Let's talk about Coco. So this is Disney and Pixar's latest film, which is co-directed by Unkrich and Adrian Molina. It's about a 12-year-old boy named Miguel who dreams of becoming a great musician in a family who wants nothing to do with music. Ever since one of his ancestors left the family, his great-great-grandmother decided to become a shoemaker, and ever since then it is running the family and they want nothing to do with music at all. So he's stuck having to choose between what his family wants for him and what he wants for himself, and eventually comes across a situation which leads him to believe a very significant person in his life is possibly related to him. Now I won't spoil how this happens, but just know it takes place during Dia de Muertos, which translates to Day of the Dead, for those of you who aren't familiar with the holiday that takes place in Mexico every year. Speaking of Mexico, this film is now the top grossing film of all time, as it premiered a little bit early before it premiered in the US. About a month ago, I would say, somewhere around October 20th. And I would say for good reason, as if there's anything this film truly does fantastically well, it's paid tribute to this holiday and the culture it is attempting to really highlight and bring out in spectacular visual and storytelling fashion. While the plot itself is somewhat formulaic, there is a lot of surprises here, and this makes for a very entertaining film throughout the entire runtime. One thing that really intrigued me going into this film was what the name Coco meant and how it applied to this film. I was really curious and wanted to know more about the mystery of it. Well, first of all, the name Coco is literally Miguel's great-grandmother's name in the film, but there is a much deeper significance to it, which you'll learn throughout. I really enjoyed how that played out and the impact of the name itself, and I think those of you who follow along are really going to appreciate it too. Of course, this film is gorgeously animated, but it really shows once they get to the afterlife world that you're going to see here, with all the different people that are representing the Dia de Muertos life. There are some unbelievable shots here where we just see glimpses of these incredibly detailed and colorful and all sorts of other words, really cool moments where we get to sit and enjoy it and kind of just see a glimpse into the animators that are really putting a ton of effort into this. What I think really stuck with me was the idea of the final death, which is when someone who has passed on is no longer remembered by any single person who is still currently alive. It really makes you wonder how many people are able to keep up the history of those that are still around, how some people either who don't have a lot of family never really get to be remembered like that, or those of us who are very famous or something end up being remembered for pretty much ever, or however long that really is until they're just not remembered anymore. This is just one instance in the film that makes it feel so rich in the culture and the perspective that they're trying to get across. I really felt like I was just listening to a very entertaining story that felt so warm, and I wanted to just continue learning more about these people and their lives and everything that they've been through. In the film, since it takes place in Mexico in this culture, there's a lot of times where they switch between speaking in English and speaking in Spanish, sometimes at the same time. So for some people that might be a little hard depending on your repertoire in either language. There's no use of actual subtitles here, so if there's just certain words you don't know, that might be sometimes more difficult to understand, or certain references you might not get. However, it wasn't too difficult for me. I grew up with a lot of friends who spoke Spanish, so a lot of the time I really understood a lot of the phrases and things that they were getting across, but I could see it being a little more difficult for some people. Luckily, when they do switch briefly from English to Spanish, there's a lot of body language too, so it's not all about just the words that people are saying, which I think made it much easier to follow in that way. So long as you're familiar with certain references or inside jokes, especially some more famous people like Frida Kahlo, who's definitely in this film and has a lot of fun moments herself, I think you'll really be able to appreciate what you're seeing here, even if you aren't familiar with a lot of it. Overall, this film is a great way to remind people to keep the memory of those who have been lost in their lives. It is very touching and a very emotionally satisfying story by the end of it, and I hope all of you will give it a chance, even if you're not too familiar with this holiday. Coco remembers those who've passed on in a stunning visual splendor filled with cultural significance and appreciation, and that's why this film is a Dyligent pick. So, what did you guys think of Coco? Are you hoping to check it out soon? What's one of your favorite Disney Pixar films out there? And what are you hoping to see in the future? Before I forget, I'm really happy with how my 100 subscriber giveaway turned out, and I'm looking forward to revealing the winner to you guys in an upcoming video, which will probably be out this weekend. My name is Dylan, and if you love entertainment, subscribe to my channel while this video ends, and send me a thumbs up before you go. Thanks for watching, and stay diligent.